Evening, everyone. This is the January 18, 2024, at 7:30 Farmington Hills Planning Commission meeting. Call the meeting to order. It looks like we have all commissioners present tonight. I do have an amendment to the agenda. We got a couple items. I would like to add election of officers of the Planning Commission.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll put that, how about number 6?
Okay.
In front of public comment? Or let's do that after public comment, okay? Right before commissioners' comments.
Alt 6A?
Pardon?
Alt 6A?
Yeah. 6A will work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, 6A, does that work? Okay,
I'll support your motion.
thank you. So I have an amended agenda. Is there a move of the agenda? John, you
Yes.
move it?
Second.
Second, Danielle, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, regular meeting, meeting business tonight. Item 4A, lot split 2 of 2023. Location is south side of Kentfield Avenue, east of Tuck Road. The parcel is to combine 2 parcels and to split 2 parcels into 3 resultant parcels in a RA3, one-family residential zoning district. Action required is his final lot split approval. The applicant is Terry Seaver. The owner is Crosswinds Court, Inc., Leo Save, the owner. Staff?
Sure, thank you.
Joe?
Right, well, that was a pretty good description of the request in the property, so I won't repeat it. We're looking at 2 parcels that are 0.86 and 1.72 acres respectively. And we're going to wind up with 3 parcels that are 1.33 and 0.63 and 0.63 acres respectively at the end. So what you can see on this plan is that Kentfield Avenue, which runs along the north parts of these parcels, is paved to the end of the second parcel there. And then you have right-of-way established and dedicated along the north end of the third parcel, but that's not paved yet. So
The right away, I think, goes all the way out to Talk.
it does go all the way out to Tuck, yep. And so just something for the applicant to keep in mind for the future is that prior to the development of that western parcel, they're going to have to complete the road going in front of that parcel. But the 2 parcels that they're looking at putting houses on now, they got the road in front of them already. Property's vacant. We did see some kind of different information on the different wetland maps that we consulted. So really, it's not that big a deal at this moment, but prior to building, they're going to need some sort of wetland determination here.
I'm sorry, you said they're gonna need what?
A wetland determination in the future prior to building on these lots. This is an RA3 zoned property. Everything around it is zoned RA3. There's vacant land to the north, and then to the east, south, and west, you have single-family homes all around this that are all part of the same neighborhood. A couple of them front on Tuck as well. As I noted, you've got 3 parcels. I already gave their proposed acreage. That all meets the standards of the district. In terms of minimum lot size and minimum lot width, also the depth to width ratio is met. The buildable areas on both lots can meet the setback requirements of the district. Again, they're larger than they need to be. We have our sets of standards regarding compatibility with existing parcels that we have to review whenever we look at a lot split. Those are in the letter. If any parcel doesn't meet zoning ordinance requirements, the request shall be denied. These parcels are consistent with the zoning ordinance requirements for RA3. Any partition or division shall be of such location, size, and character that in general, it will be compatible with the existing development in the area in which it's situated. So parcels to the north and west and south actually include a variety of lot sizes and proportions. You have kind of one basic size to the east and south, and they've all got houses on them. So basically, you've got the same relationship to the street of these proposed parcels as the parcels around them in the neighborhood. They're just deeper, basically. They have a lot more depth to them. Other things to consider: conformity of the resultant parcels to zoning ordinance standards. As noted, these are consistent with the zoning ordinance standards. They're just deeper than the surrounding parcels, but they have the same relationship to the street. Orientation of the yards is the same as the parcels around the corner. The impact of any existing floodplains, wetlands, topography, or other natural features and physical conditions of the resulting parcels, so that such parcels are compatible with other surrounding lands in terms of buildable area. So, like I said, we see on certain wetland data and not other wetland data that there is some wetland soil here. Whether or not they're actually emergent wetlands just can't be determined from looking at these maps. It actually has to be done on the ground. So again, ultimately the buildability of these proposed lots is going to have to be confirmed to the wetland delineation. But as far as the parcels proposed to be created and the buildable areas that are set forth, they meet the standards of the ordinance. And then we also look at the relationship of front, side, and rear yards to the yards and orientation of buildings on the other existing potential parcels, including the probable orientation of buildings on the parcels. And really what you have is a continuation of the pattern to the south and the east. It comes around on Kentfield Avenue. The buildings face Kentfield Avenue, and it's, again, the lots are deeper, but it's really the same orientation of the buildings to the street. If you have any questions for me, that's what I'm here for.
I did go there today, and looking at what you're showing right now with the street up at the top of the map, I don't think that street's there, and it's not in the aerial photo you showed. There is an awful lot of snow, but
It's there. I've been there when there's no snow on the ground. It's very much
okay,
there.
there's some kind of blockade that would prevent.
There are barrels blocking it, yes.
Okay, so that is there.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to talk about was you said one of the criteria we would use in deciding whether or not to use, to allow a land division would be related to wetlands. And you mentioned that there could be wetlands there. If there are wetlands there, I would rather see one structure, I don't know if this is a question, well, yet you're encouraging us to go ahead and consider this before we know whether or not they're wetlands. That's sort of where the question comes from. For me, there could only be one house, as I understand it, right now, without the subdivision.
That's true.
And if there are substantial wetlands, which I don't think there are, but if there were, so like half of it's a wetland? I don't know.
It's not considered a wetland.
I don't know.
Basically, what we think we're seeing is what's called a hydric soil, which is not the same thing as an emergent wetland. But again,
But you're saying this would have to be done. And you understand I'd rather see one house there if there was a substantial wetland than three. But if there isn't a substantial wetland, I don't care.
Right.
Okay. I would rather wait for that determination.
gotcha.
Steve?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, we had an issue where they were trying to do a lot split, and we'd already done the maximum number of lot splits for that plat. Because parcel A sure looks like it could be a candidate for a future one. Because it's a little more than 90, it's a little wider than these two put together. Are we going to, by doing this, cause an issue if they ever want to split parcel A again? I don't know how many times this has already been split. But to me, it would make more sense to split it into 4, and if they want, recombine it at some point, because if they ever do want to split it, I'd hate to do this split and then this lot is this lot forever.
Yeah, assessing would be able to tell you whether the splits are available. I don't know if that's been,
Yeah, it's something that we verify along the way here.
But just the nature of everything around it makes me think this has already been split once. They get 2, right?
Is there a legal description on the survey?
It depends.
Okay.
yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Split in the legal.
So here's,
There is illegal on the survey.
when's the 45 days run on this one?
Getting pretty close here.
Well, in absence of information on that, I mean, we have a proposal, it's been reviewed.
Make it subject to.
Well, with respect to the wetlands and the buildability too, you know, every permit would go through an engineering review where they would do their analysis, you know, with respect to our, you know, their wetland maps and things like that. And if they had suspicion that, you know, there were an issue with wetlands, you know, they would flag it at that time before a building permit would be issued.
But I'm not hearing anything tonight that would cause me to deny this proposal. I mean, there's questions, but I'm not hearing anything you're saying this cannot be approved.
Yeah, we do not regulate the wetlands.
Right.
So that the state of Michigan may regulate that.
Other
They,
agencies.
they may need a permit. We don't know that you have enough information to say that the consideration of the wetland is a basis to deny the lot split. Among the things you're supposed to consider is impact upon wetlands, but we don't even know if this is wetlands, but its impact, I hear you, Joe, I see you, but its impact
Next show.
such that the resulting parcels are compatible with other surrounding lands in terms of buildable area. You know, we don't have anything here tonight that says they aren't going to be entirely buildable.
Right.
So the timing issue is this: you have 45 days in which you have to either approve this or deny it. Sometimes when the applicant is here, you can say, do you mind giving us more time so we can think about this? But the applicant is not here. So you either approve it or deny it tonight. It's going to be the
Okay,
issue.
thanks, Tom. Joe?
So I've spent my life working in water resources.
That's where you've been.
And I understand that the state will not let you build on a wetland. But we're talking about impacts on wetlands. And the reality is that if you build near a wetland, and generally we're talking like 100 feet within a wetland, then you are likely going to have an impact on that wetland. So if I can consider the wetland, I have been shown a map that we're told is not the definitive map that shows no wetland, but shows some kind of hydrostatic soil, okay? But I've been told that they're, what?
So through the chair, I
Thomas,
want
go
to make
ahead.
sure we read the words in the right order. It's not the impact of the lot split on the wetland, it's the opposite. It's do we know that there is an impact of the wetland on the buildability if we grant this lot split? And you don't have any information today saying that it does.
That's your interpretation
Well, I'm just reading the
of-
word through the chair, just reading the order of the words. It's not, will this lot split affect the wetlands, which we don't regulate? It's, does the wetland affect the size and buildable area of this property? And I don't think we have any information.
If I'm misinterpreting, I don't know why somebody would write that crap. It should be the other way around.
Fair?
But based on your explanation, I will shut up.
Who's responsible for telling us? Who's responsible for letting us know whether or not there is a wetland in there?
Well, that's a good question. So,
Ultimately, I mean, it's the engineering division that decides whether or not to put the applicant, through the EGLE process.
do we get wetland information at the time the application comes to us on a lot split?
I don't think we generally have in the past.
No, we don't. So that's information actually that comes down the road, so to speak, and that we don't see it. Basically, we look at dimensions and whether it can fit or it conforms with the plat and
And we don't
stuff
have to
around
worry
it.
about that.
Right. And I haven't heard anything tonight that says we have a say in some of the stuff we're talking about. Barry?
First off, Eric, can you put up page 5, because not everybody got the packet. And I think that might help everyone see what's going on, because it's in color.
Do we have, yeah, I don't have
Yellow
5 in
thing
my
all
slide
over it.
deck.
You don't have page 5?
I do not.
Ooh, that's
He's
so-
saying page 5 of
The
the,
packet.
It's an aerial?
of the consultant's report.
Yeah, I don't have their report on here. I just have these slides.
Well, here's my question for you, and I think we've been kind of skirting the issue here.
Yeah, I know.
Our job is to either grant or deny a lot split. If in fact they can't build on it because it's determined later on as a wetland, that has nothing to do with splitting the lot. It has something more to do with whether or not it's buildable. So if what they're doing is asking to split the lot, they have to worry about whether or not engineering will let them build there, or whether Eagle will let them build there, not whether we do a lot split.
I think that's a correct assessment of the situation.
And the packet here yesterday, because I didn't get mine mailed to me either. None of us got the packet mailed to us. We got it downloaded, but we didn't get it mailed. And the picture that I have here shows it as hydro soil. And the only thing that I would really wanted to point out for those that haven't seen the picture is that the hydro soil portion of this picture, and it's the whole big yellow area down here, there's 4 houses that are built in the same hydro soil area, which would indicate to me that obviously it must be buildable because they're closer to the water source than these lots are. So, if, I can always pass this thing down, so. everyone can take a
For
look
the
at it.
record, they're further away from the wetland than these lots
Yes.
are. That's identified in there. And that's
So,
the issue.
any other questions for the consultant or staff on this? Joe, were there conditions in your report? Did I miss them? Were there any conditions? No, so we do have
I think
before us.
I think one condition would be that with respect to proposed parcel A, make clear in the motion that the road needs to be
road be
extended
extended to the
in accordance with city
full
standards.
frontage, yeah.
I know we don't normally do conditions, but I think just to make clear on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want a paper road here. We want
So
to make sure we get
do I
that.
have a motion to approve this with?
You want to do it?
I don't, go ahead.
Well, the problem is you have my
What was the
motion.
condition we were making? To allow the additional lot split if they needed it?
No, the condition is that the
the road
road
be
gets
Al,
extended.
Or the road
the motion's
extension?
on there.
Okay, you want to make it? Okay.
If no one else do it, I'll do it.
Danielle?
I just wanted clarity. When we say the road extended, we mean pavement perspective?
Eric, put the.
Build a road.
Yeah, point out,
It's city engineering standards for a residential roadway.
For that part where
Essentially extending this.
all the way across the proposed bigger lot,
Right,
they would have to build the road.
across the entire frontage of what's parcel A right now. Right.
so as a matter of emphasis, we're saying, okay, we approve the split as proposed, provided you extend the road per engineering requirements as a part of a lot split. Then you do make that public improvement. I think it's done, it's covered anyhow under engineering, we're just emphasizing it. Okay, we good? Barry?
Okay. I move that final lot split 2023 submitted by Terry Seaver be approved because it appears to meet the applicable provisions of Chapter 34 zoning and Chapter 27 subdivision of land of the city code and will result in land parcels generally compatible with surrounding parcels in the vicinity and that the city assessor be so notified. However, that there will be no building on what would be called Lot 12, parcel number 23-35-402-006, unless the road is extended to that lot for ingress and egress.
Support.
Does that do it?
Okay,
Yeah, just for the,
moved by Barry,
Call it
supported
the
by
entire
John.
frontage,
Tom, your
I would
comment?
say.
if we could call it parcel A instead of lot 12 and just say the entire frontage of the parcel A.
Okay, all right.
Cheryl, you got that?
I think so.
Okay, thank you. Got it, Barry? John, you okay with that? Okay, all in favor?
I thought we discussed things.
But I guess I just really encourage staff to contact
Pass it down,
with
now they can see what it
regards to any potential restrictions on future,
On future splits in this area, yes.
you know, make sure that they are aware that this could, it may not be a restriction. Someone on staff should look to see if this will cause restriction on parcel A.
Yeah,
and
they're
informing
reviewed
them.
by the assessing department, and they make that determination by going back through the parcel
Right.
history and looking at the timing of previous splits and.
Yeah, just, and if there is a restriction, make sure the applicant.
So
is
it doesn't get
informed.
to us, it doesn't get to us unless they have an opportunity for another split.
Right.
Can
That's
look
what I'm
at
saying.
The assessor does not stamp it until it meets.
Although
his
yeah, right,
criteria
I mean,
as
it's not
well.
final, they come after us actually in the process
Yeah.
to finalize things, but, right, yeah.
Okay. Danielle, on the motion, or,
Yeah, it is, because I'm trying to understand the road part. Is that, and this might be just my trying to learn, is that something new we're doing to trying to help infrastructure improvement as we approved?
no, this is based on the requirements of the city. If there's a split, there needs to be public improvements in place to accommodate the split. So engineering, when they would look at the split, they would say, okay, what you got to do to access property safely, you'd have to make an improvement in front of that new lot.
And that can only be done if there's something happening there. So what I mean by that is like legacy roads that are not paved currently.
Right.
Unless they're gonna do something, we can't.
Yeah, it's kind of like we get a bite of the apple. That's when we get a bite of the apple.
Yeah.
Tom, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I guess, so every lot to be buildable in Farmington Hills has to
have
front on a
frontage.
public street, right? Well, certain exceptions for like cluster roads, but for this kind of a development or area, the lot has to have public road frontage all the way across it. He's proposing to create this new lot, or this new parcel A, it doesn't yet have that. You're just saying, well, you can have this parcel, assuming you create the public road frontage, not us. So that's, he may not do it until he wants to use it, but that will be a requirement, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to permit the split.
Right, I guess I was just trying to understand that we're directing them to have to pour asphalt, not that they just have to clear the
Build a
road.
street to public,
It'll have to meet our city engineering standards for a public
27 feet
roadway.
wide, whatever.
Right.
Yeah,
Whole
it could
bit.
be asphalt, it could be concrete, whatever the
Water.
standard is for either one.
But it can't be a dirt road.
It will not
It cannot be a dirt road.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to understand, because we have dirt roads where houses on them still in Farmington Hills. So I was just learning.
Yep.
So, got it.
Good?
Yes,
Thank you, Dale.
thank you.
Good question. Okay, all in favor of Barry's motion, supported by John, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. It's approved. Next item. So this is site plan 6812-2023. It's part of an amended PUD plan 6 of 1993. The location is 27604 Middle Belt. The proposal is to convert an existing northerly tenant space in an existing southerly outlot building to drive-in restaurant in an OS1 office zoning district. The action tonight is site plan approval. Venticio is the applicant, owner is Merchant Marketplace LLC. I know we have some folks here who wanted to talk about it. Let me see if we can, and we've already had the public hearing on the plan, the amended plan already back in March. That's correct, right?
Yep.
So let's see, we'll go to staff and the consultants to give an overview of what this is. Perhaps those questions will be answered and we'll be all set. If not, then the chair will decide how we want to handle, if we've got people who want to make a comment on it. Okay? So, Joe?
Julie is going to handle this one.
All right. So this is a 7.5 acre site that's zoned a mix of OS1 and B2 and part of a PUD that was approved in 1983. In March, as you mentioned, the applicant proposed an amendment to allow retail restaurant use. Specifically, they wanted a coffee shop with a drive-through. The Planning Commission made a recommendation to approve the applicant's request following submittal of a revised site plan showing changes to site configuration associated with the drive-through. And other conditions that were requested included to modify the zoning ordinance requirements as shown on the proposed plan, for the drive-through use to only be permitted in the southerly building, to provide a marked crosswalk at the back of the building with special consideration of pedestrian safety and potential for nuisance, and consider and a consistent PUD agreement. City Council adopted the recommendation and also included with their motion that all conditions required in the Giffords-Webster report and the Planning Commission report should be included, as well as they required a limitation that the restaurant could only be a coffee shop with no fryers, and encouraged a traffic circulation plan that minimized the impact on existing neighboring businesses. The plans submitted show a coffee shop with a drive-through as previously described. And I want to point out a few items that we identified in our review. So included, there were a few administrative cleanups. That includes labeling and some technical revisions to the site data chart. In addition, some information wasn't provided that should be reviewed. The applicant didn't submit a lighting plan yet. The landscape information included some missing elements. We didn't have any of the planting details for the proposed plantings, and we didn't have the existing tree details. They also said that they would be planting a tulip tree, which wasn't located on the plans. In addition, they provided a 10 by 50 loading space, which is a total of 500 square feet. The requirement is 800 square feet based on the frontage. However, it should be noted that the primary use of the structure is an office use, or not the primary, but the predominant use of the structure. The location of any rooftop equipment and mechanical equipment wasn't shown on the plans. And I did want to point out that while the circulation doesn't appear to create any conflicts, if there was stacking beyond the 10 spaces, it would go into that maneuvering lane, which is the primary ingress and egress to the main road. And then finally, I did want to call special attention to pedestrian circulation on the site. As required by the Planning Commission and City Council, the applicant did provide a crosswalk in the rear of the building, and Planning Commission should take a look at the proposed pedestrian crossing and consider whether that adequately addresses their concerns during the March discussion, or if there is additional pedestrian treatments needed, such as adding sidewalks to the islands. And that concludes my staff report.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions? Barry?
I know that in the report they said the plans themselves don't include the air conditioners or the heaters are on the roof of the thing. Don't we already have plans that have those in that? I mean, obviously, this building's been in existence for several years, and nothing, unless something's changed up there, doesn't that already exist?
It should, technically. I don't think this building would predate the ordinance standard for rooftop screening. However, I think that's an item we could certainly address administratively before any permits were issued for the project.
Okay, because I mean, the rest of it's the rest of it's fine, but I was just wondering, it says, well, these buildings were built a long time ago, and I know that those rooftop units have been there for a while. Do we have to really address the issues? What the question was. But, okay, just asking, never mind.
Okay. Any other questions? Danielle?
I'm not 100% sure if this is a question for staff or if this may need to wait for the owner, but The traffic pattern for Big B, the planned traffic pattern, goes across the back area for loading. Whether it's Big B or the orthodontics office, what happens when somebody is getting a load in the middle of customers coming? It seems to be in the way, right? You're either going to have a big semi truck or maybe a small Amazon Prime truck, I don't know, but it's going to be sitting right across and breaking the line. So is there an opportunity to swing the actual drive-through line to the left? It's my left looking at this, coming off of
Interesting.
12 Mile. Yeah, coming from the 12 Mile direction. That way, it's not interfering with the business of loading and unloading for both the Big B and the orthodontics office.
So we're always looking for like really good places to put loading, unloading, especially in small parcels. You got limited space to do a lot of stuff that we require.
Especially in gas stations, yeah.
And plus, they probably, the planners and the engineers probably say, we gotta have some stacking. We gotta be able to provide stacking for that drive-through. So this was probably a compromise kind of thing. And I'll let the proponents speak to this whole issue. But, and I don't know if the unloading shows up at off hours perhaps. Sometimes they show up real early in the morning and do their business and get out of there, and there's not a conflict. But so the answer to your question, probably, if we approve that plan, is cooperation. Truck driver with customers.
So keep in mind, there is a building far to the left of this
Right.
image that sits at the corner of 12 Mile and Middle Belt. But there's all this parking. All of this parking, there is plenty of room to swing to the left. And I do recall when the orthodontist spoke at the meeting we had for the hearing, his concern had to do with loading. And the other concern was about the walkability, for people going
in and
to the strip mall to the back, which is why they added the walkway. So I was just curious, and I think I wanted to ask that question then, but I was too new and too afraid to ask the
Good
question.
question. Excellent question. Mr. Tissio is here tonight. Would you like to address the commission, a little overview and specific questions that were raised regarding your site plan? Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Bonazeda, Ben Tissio, Tissio Architects, 19815 Farmington Road, Livonia. Thank you. I do want to address a few things. The existing building does have a screen around the whole, all four sides of the building. There are currently, I believe, 4 rooftop units, and they're not visible. So those are screened, period. We don't anticipate adding another rooftop unit. The one that's there should be adequate. We're assuming it's in good shape, and that can be used. This is not a restaurant per se, so we won't need a large makeup air unit. We may need an exhaust fan here or there, but everything on that roof will be screened as it is now. The loading, unloading conflicts, one of the things that, and we do a lot of these stores that have this kind of condition, is that the proprietor will schedule the deliveries at off hours of peak hours, I should say, so that there is not that conflict. It can be early in the morning, it could be later at night. That's not been an issue in the projects we have worked on. I don't think I understand your question about reversing it. Are you talking about having the drive-up window just reverse the
No, the drive window stays the same, but the pattern of where the cars drive in swings out towards this way to the left rather than swinging to the right. Yeah.
Instead of stacking right to left, it would be, right to left, it would be left to right, Ben,
Coming off of 12 Mile.
to this parking area.
Yeah,
Changing the traffic flow.
right, changing the traffic flow.
Are you saying then making a loop?
Yes, sir, instead of making a loop. So I don't know if you're familiar with the Tim Hortons over at 12 Mile and Farmington Road, but it actually makes the L shape and it doesn't wrap around its own building. Because it has a lot of parking in the strip mall that it's in, and you have a similar wide area of parking that may provide flexibility if you care, if it helps everyone.
We did look at that, but the problem we have is is once you make that loop, you're gonna have to have probably a 25-foot radius. That means you can't have anything in the middle, so then we are limiting a lot of parking.
Yeah, I
And
see.
really disrupting the flow of the traffic's there now. This layout here minimizes the disruption of the parking and the flow that it is now.
Okay,
And I don't believe it'll be an issue at all.
okay.
Simply because, I mean, I hope our biggest problem is we're gonna have 10 stacking there 24 hours a day, but I doubt that's gonna happen.
Right. Okay.
And again, the issue with delivery is resolved. We did add also, I wanted to point out, another pedestrian path, which is right off of 12, on Middle Belt, where we come in the driveway near the retention pond. We do have a walkway now connecting the front. The planner asked for that, and we did provide that. On the back of the building, to assist the pedestrian flow, we do have a fence that blocks the back of delivery so that pedestrians cannot walk through that space. And we have a crosswalk outlined as well from the parking area behind it. I apologize, I thought we did have some shrubs and tree information on the drawings. I know we had quantities, and I think they are indicated where they are as A, B, or C on the plan itself.
Yeah, I think just one of the trees wasn't located.
Okay, then my apology if we missed that.
Be some minor revisions to the landscape plan.
Minor issue, it's not something we need to.
No, I think that's something we can address
Staff can
administratively.
handle that?
Yep.
Thank you, okay. Anything else?
I
I
hope we.
I would point out too about the internal traffic circulation aspect of this project that they have submitted a traffic study to our engineering department who will review that actually for the internal stacking and how things function throughout this parking area. So they're going to look at the best alternatives for that. And if something really needed to change, if this were creating a dangerous condition, then that would have to change during the engineering review process. And you might even see the plan come back before you. But there is an extensive review of how that's going to work throughout the shopping center here underway.
After we see it and approve it, engineering still has to look at it and make sure, in a practical way, it works.
Yes, and they've already submitted that traffic study, so they're kind of ahead of the game relative to other
Right.
applicants in that respect too.
So, good, okay. Tanji?
Yeah, one of my, my concerns is the traffic and the patients going to this orthodontics, and with the traffic flow of the drive-through, just the safety of that. I know that was one of the concerns as well when the owner of the orthodontics
Sure.
had some concern.
Again, we
Because a lot of them are teenager kids.
Correct. We addressed that in two ways. One, we have a fence on the back of the sidewalk of the building, so people cannot walk from the parking lot into the back of the building, because the fence is there. It'll prevent them unless they climb the fence. And secondly, we have directed the path of travel, people that are going to come from that parking lot in the back, through the walkway that's at the edge of the building.
Point it out.
It's at, I think it would be between car number 6 and 7, there's a crosswalk there,
This crosswalk.
and that takes you to the back of the building.
I don't see the fence.
Yeah.
Now, where's this fence?
If you can zoom in on that, it may be a matter of scale. On the back of the building, it goes almost the full length of the back of the building.
So, Ben, where the.
keep going, please.
The loading area?
Would that be the east side of the building?
Zoom
That,
in.
no, that would, let's see,
What's
no,
the
that would
back?
be the east side of the building, correct.
That's as far as it's letting me zoom it.
Yeah, there's a note, you see it there, it's a 36-inch metal fence.
That was,
Yeah, there is a note
Oh, I
alongside
see
the
it,
sidewalk.
I see it written up there now.
Yep.
I used to go to the clinic, didn't I?
Again, if you look at the back
But
south
car
of the
number
building,
8,
it
right
says
below car
36-inch
8.
high metal fence.
There, oh, I see.
Written, it's just written.
So.
You don't see it, it's just written. It's,
No, there's actual line there.
okay.
Graphically, it is shown. And if you go to the next page, please, where we have the blow-up of the floor plan.
Please.
Let's see if I can,
As I recall, the dentist said that patients leave out the back door. That seems to be my recollection of the
That's my recollection.
Do you have the second sheet?
I don't have the second sheet in here. I only have the site plan sheets.
Yeah.
And this,
Orthodontist, that's somewhat different.
Okay, let's go to the blow-up of the site plan again. And Ben, could you kind of describe where we're?
Yes.
Can you blow it up again? Okay, go ahead and try to describe it.
Again, if you see the back of the building, where it says, see where it says the 10-foot by 50-foot loading area?
Yep,
That whole 50 feet of that has a fence behind it.
Directs you down the side.
And in between, at the end of the sidewalk,
right,
on the back of the building,
yep.
there is a fence there. So that you can't walk from the parking lot back into the back of the building. Or from the building to the back.
So where's the entrance for the patients at the,
At the front of the front of the shopping center, the front of the building. The rear are exits.
So,
Sir, you need to speak into the mic.
So there's a side,
don't say front of the building, say east, west, north, south. Give us, so we're looking at a plan. I assume north is up.
No, north is to the left.
yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
So what we're trying to do here is, we're trying to put the fence on the east side throughout the back. So that's gonna prevent the kids safe, I mean, it's gonna help with the kid safety. So the kids who are coming out from the doctor's office, they're not gonna be able to go and hit the car because there's gonna be metal fence there.
Right.
And your question, how did they come in and go out? So there's a sidewalk all around the building, so they can come from the front to the back, and the back has a sidewalk, crosswalk as well, and we added the crosswalk on the side too. So they can literally walk on the sidewalks without interrupting to the car. If you see the south side on the right, so there's a sidewalk there. So, and there's a dumpster, and then there's a guy, I mean, there's a green area behind it, so there's no interruption. And in the back, there was an interruption, but that is how we did it, like we added the fence there, and we still have a sidewalk there as well. And then,
Oh, awesome.
If you could give your name.
sorry, this is Masroor, and I'm the tenant here. Yeah.
So are you putting any place to sit out?
It ends there.
For your customers to kind of sit out at a table or something?
Yes, there is a area up in front, next to the parking stalls, that we are putting a concrete slab there and putting a few tables and chairs. I think there are 3 shown. You can't get that many, but enough for somebody who wants to sit out there and enjoy the sunshine.
Gotcha, thank you.
yeah.
Any other questions for the proponent?
For me, it's just a point of clarification on the
Please.
fence, because on the plan, it looks like it goes kind of partway down the sidewalk and just sort of blocks you from walking into the
What
loading
side of the
area.
building?
I'm talking about the east side of the building,
Okay, east side of the building.
so the back of the building.
The back of the building.
It looks like on the plan, the fence prevents you from walking into the loading area, but you can leave out the back of the building, walk down the sidewalk on the back of the building to get to the crosswalk.
Right.
That is correct.
That's correct, okay.
we would want the fence to funnel you to the crosswalk. is
Exactly.
what
That's
we're-
exactly right.
Is what we're going
And
for.
that's what it's doing. I just wanted to confirm that that's actually, like, because as, like I said, as I recall, the orthodontist patients are generally leaving out the back of the building. They need to be able to get to the crosswalk from that rear entrance, and it sounds like
Be
they're being
incentivized to
channeled to the
use the actual
crosswalk by the
crosswalk.
fence.
Right.
That was what I wanted to confirm.
And I would like to add one point here. So we are trying to put more safety measures here. People are still driving the cars there. So it's not like that street is not drivable behind the back of the building on the east side. So it's still in use with the cars driving by from there. So we are actually adding more safety measures to help with the dentist's office,
By having the fence there.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay,
Thank you.
more questions? Okay. I'm gonna ask the doctor to come up. I know we've already had the public hearing. Do you have anything to add with regard to flow of your patients in and out? Please come on up. I'll give you 3 minutes, okay? Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Thomas Jusino. I've been in this building since 2007. We have this fence idea is absolutely ridiculous as far as I'm concerned, because the fence will not allow my deliveries. It's a loading and unloading, but I have 2 exit doors in the back of the building, okay? One is for patients to go out, and it's also emergency exit, and the other one is for deliveries. If there's a fence there, there's no way that there's no on-ramp or anything to get on the sidewalk and deliver my deliveries. I mean, they're addressing their own deliveries, but my deliveries happen all day long, okay? They don't come before I'm there. I'm there from 9 to 5 every day, and they come between 9 and 5. So, I mean, sometimes I'm there at 8, but they come during the whole day. So this is not addressing at all my needs. This is taking away my ability to normally function in my space. I'm going to be honest, the only way that all this goes away is to move the drive-through to the north side of the building in a loop, okay? None of this is important, and none of this affects me at all if the loop is on the north side of the building. You don't need to change a loading area. You don't need to do anything different with the traffic pattern, because the traffic pattern is over here. There is nobody that parks over here on the north side of the building. There is, Planet Fitness, which is 2 spaces over, and they park up and down that area there, and there's a lot of cars there. But there's nobody in the 25, 35 feet that parks there on that side of the building. So to me, that's the only logical place to put the drive-through. I mean, you're taking away spaces in the back of my building, which is needed by all the businesses that are in the main strip mall, okay? There's spaces being lost here in the back, and that is packed full of cars for Kuman and Asia Grocers and other issues. I don't know how big that barrier is there that's on the east, or what you view as the top of the drive-through, but it's taking away spaces, and they're changing the direction of the cars. The cars now normally park this way, and now they're going to be parking this way. So that's going to change the whole flow of people in there just to get to the businesses above me or to the east of me. My feeling is, honestly, the only way that this works, this all goes away if you just put the loop on the north side of the building where there's nobody parking. Those parking spaces are not even used. I know. I've been there since 2007. So to me, the whole thing just goes away if you just put the loop over there. I don't have any problem with that if you put the loop on the north, because it doesn't affect me. But all this affects everything I do. Please consider putting the loop on the north side. It makes such a difference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So to, I guess, staff, after our public hearing on the plan, it went to, where did it go from there?
Went to city council for a public hearing as well.
And what did city council see? And they had a public hearing as well, correct?
They thought that a solution to this problem was to create a wall-marked crosswalk from the back door up to the remainder of the shopping center, which it appears the applicant has provided. And the fence is something that wasn't asked of them. They've added an addition to the crosswalk.
Question.
Right. I mean, the fence wasn't something the council asked for. So if there were,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be there essentially, per the PUD approval. So.
Right. Danielle?
I'm just curious, is any of this in there now, today? Any of the added safety measures, have you installed any of it yet?
No, nothing.
Not anything? So if my memory serves, when you look at this back area with the expected surface addition, that little L-shaped thing,
That landscape area,
that
yes.
landscape area, isn't there like some kind of parking barriers? Like.
There's some landscaping there now.
There, okay.
And we're just, in a sense, pushing it back.
To make it a
about
little
10
bit
feet
more
or so.
robust? Yeah, okay.
If I could address something, we did look at multiple ways of how to get the stacking. I actually looked at having all of the stacking on the north. The problem is that in order to get 10 stacking spaces 20 feet long, I'm 20 feet inside the building of the shopping center. I cannot do it. The only way to do it is I create a loop. And when I create that loop, I'm destroying all of the parking within that loop. This is the only solution to have stacking on there. I've looked at multiple ways of doing that. This is the least disruptive, and because of the fact that I would take out probably 50 parking spots in order to get the loop on the north side. It doesn't work.
I have a question.
Angie?
I just want to ask, so what he's saying about the loading and him not being able to get his loading into his building or to be delivered, do you see that?
I don't see that to be as a problem. It's a matter of scheduling the loading. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I don't see, this is not, excuse me, a Chick-fil-A where you're going to get 20 stacking every day of the hour. This is a Big B. They have several hours that are going to be rush hours. And I don't know what time the orthodontics opens, but one of the majority of times when they're busy is early in the morning, probably before the business opens up.
What are your hours, would be the hours?
What are your hours going to be?
6 to 7. So the rush hours are like from 6 to up until like 8 or 9 o'clock. So, and if the fence is creating the problem, if it is preventing loading for the dentist office, we can get rid of the fence. I mean, we are just adding it for the safety for the kids. If it is something that is creating the problem, we can get rid of the fence.
And the curb, the concrete curb at the back of the building, as it is today, is proposed to stay as it is on our plan. So we are not changing that function.
Do you guys communicate?
Pardon?
Do you guys communicate?
I haven't, I've been on board only for a few months. I know that the owner, I'm sorry, the tenant has been communicating.
Yeah, I mean, I never communicated. I want to clarify. He's been talking to, I mean, they've been talking to the landlord.
I can't hardly hear you.
Sorry, they've been talking to the landlord. It was never communicated to me directly. So.
Joe?
I have a question for Eric. Where does the stacking requirement of 10 come from, and how is it defined?
Well, it's essentially, it's defined in the zoning ordinance that you have to have 10 stacking spaces for any drive-through restaurant use.
10 spaces before what?
Before the pickup window.
For a drive-up restaurant.
Well, I understand that.
10 before the pickup window,
for
a
the window
minimum
itself.
of 5 of which must be before the ordering board.
Right.
So is that till it gets to the street? What I'm getting at here is if he can fit 7, if he goes straight up or east. And then there's plenty of room within this shopping center to accommodate another 3 cars that are probably rarely going to be there. To me, the very important thing is that they're not interfering with the traffic in the road. So he's only gone through all this machinations because he needs 10.
Because the ordinance tells me I have to have 10 parking.
Yeah, but as long as the stack is somewhere not on the road, isn't he still meeting the requirement of 10? That's my question.
Well, yeah, he meets the zoning ordinance requirement. Now, whether he meets the engineering requirement as to traffic circulation and safety is a different matter.
Where are those engineers when you need them?
Well, I mean, they're two different questions, essentially.
Yeah.
The zoning ordinance just has this categorical, across the board, you know, you have to have 10 stacking spaces. Well, you know, they're going to look into it in quite a bit more detail as part of the traffic study as to what this stacking is actually going to look like at different hours in the day, those sorts of things. It's, you know, we're not.
So let's go to my least, we don't have engineering here. So let's go to my least favorite drive-through that's already been referred to earlier, which is the donut shop at 12 Mile in Farmington. I don't think they have room for 10, and that's why it often spills into the shopping center, okay? So I think, based on that empirical evidence, that it's okay with engineering.
If that was an existing facility.
It's pre-existing, non-conforming.
I mean, I don't know.
Is it a conversion of an existing
That
building?
was
I guess I
before
don't
the
know.
ordinance changed.
What?
That was on Hardee's?
No, we changed the ordinance to 10 probably about 5 years ago. That drive-through was there with the old ordinance.
Well, that's not really the point.
Okay.
The point is, nobody here seems to know the exact requirement.
So I have a practical question for the doctor. So where do your patients park? But they're released through the back. So they're parking in the front, they're released through the back. They don't go back to the front?
Emergency exit only, why is he using it?
They're getting a picture. It's like, a little bit like those tree guys. Percy Brothers? Yeah. A&D transfer, yeah. Or it was like,
We're not losing 25 years, we're losing.
Okay, thank you. Daniel.
I have what I think is another practical question as well. Aside from what the city ordinance is, what does the landlord say? Because this is a strip mall, so it's owned by somebody, and that person isn't here.
well, the landlord would have had to have signed off on the PUD application to effectuate this, to move the ball rolling on this project to what we see here. The landlord would have had to have signed off.
He signed off on it.
Right,
He's obviously in approval of this project.
right. Without his sign off, we wouldn't have even moved this application forward. You wouldn't even have seen it.
The landlord has to be
Yes,
involved in this.
correct.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, so we got a lot of information.
I have another question.
Oh,
Can you just clarify what time does Big B close in the afternoon?
Oh, no.
About 7 o'clock.
7 PM? Yeah. Okay, and you're 9 to 5 daily, Monday through Friday?
Yeah, but our rush hours are usually like before 9 o'clock, and then after
Like
that
6
it
to
is.
9, and
Yeah,
then-
6 to 9, and then after that it gets like very minimal, so.
Yep, yep,
Look at that versus look at this.
sure.
Yeah,
You would be leased right there.
like I suggested, like if the fence is creating the delivery problem, we can get rid of the fence. So we
So,
were adding
yeah.
the fence because we were trying to help the safety of it, So we can get rid of the fence.
Okay, so we have one conversation through me. So the issue of the fence, I hear the doctor saying that fence doesn't do anything for him. Why are we doing the fence?
It was communicated, sorry,
Go ahead.
Ben. It was communicated between the doctor and the landlord, and then the landlord and him kind of like agreed, and then the landlord suggested we talked to the doctor, and please add the fence in the back. So it was by the landlord communicated to me that we did talk to the doctor.
And I'm here now, the fence is not necessarily desirable for his loading, unloading.
Well, we
for
can
him.
take it out if that's the same way they do now. For where?
On the southern portion, right? Right here?
They will back up into, they'll come up the drive there on the right-hand side, back into, and load, unload. That's what they,
In the 10 by 50 area,
and the 10 by 50 area.
you're showing cars there, but they would come up that drive, get in the, park that 10 by 50 area where they're not supposed, nobody else is supposed to be, and then unload. And you're showing a fence to screen the sidewalk.
Correct.
You're saying that with sidewalk, that doesn't help me any.
So they will remove, we won't add the fence.
No, there is actually. Eric, can you
Mr.
please?
Chair, if I could, this is just not going to work
I know.
for our recording.
Yeah, well, and I'll comment on that.
If you could just repeat what he said.
Cheryl, I know. I'm
right.
trying to, I'm trying to flush out, and work this out. I know this is not per
All right, thank you
Robert's
very much.
rules. So we're, recording secretary, having a hard time keeping with our conversation. We're trying to work this out, if we can work this out. So, thank you, Cheryl, for the reminder. So the issue is, basically, he can load, unload in that 10 by 50-foot area. He just gets in there. We see about 10 cars for illustrative purposes there that you got the stacking. Same as before, that's what you load and unload. The issue is, how much of an issue is that if he's releasing some of his patients out the back? He provided a sidewalk, now a crosswalk, and wherever people park, they park. I don't know if that can be modified. But, so you're not necessarily set. You put the screening fence there by the loading, think you were doing something good. That was agreed to by
The landlord.
the landlord and the dentist, or the orthodontist, but not necessarily, he doesn't see the value of that. That's one thing, and not to mention the general circulation. Okay.
And
This plan has gone to the council, and they've seen it, they've seen the plan, they moved on it, right?
No, they moved on the proposed use.
Okay.
But just like Planning Commission is seeing the plans tonight, they have
They
not
see a
seen the plans
conceptual
yet.
plan of flow or anything?
I'm sorry,
Did they see a plan showing flow or stacking? or
no,
nothing?
that was it was a condition of their approval of the
No,
use.
they did see a
they
plan
did,
that showed the stacking very much in a similar configuration to
It's
this.
a different site plan, but similar design.
It has essentially the same traffic pattern
Yes.
than the last one.
Okay,
I stand corrected.
okay. Barry?
The loading zone now is exactly where it is in this where they're proposing the loading zone B is where it is already, right?
Yeah,
They're not changing the loading zone.
no. It's just that, we got a drive-through now, and it's got a stacking, and that's where it circulates.
And a bypass, so.
Bypass lane.
Get a bypass lane, which makes sense. Kristen?
It just seems to me that we're assuming worst case all the time, and that's not really going to be the case. We're not going to have 10 cars stacked for 12 hours a day, and we're not going to have 100 patients leaving at the same time the whole day either. It's just my opinion.
So what's the feeling on the additional fence? That the developer would be happy not to put in if the orthodontist doesn't want it?
They remove it.
They still have to deal with the landlord. The landlord wants it. What are you going to do?
no, landlord didn't want it.
He just suggested it.
Yeah.
I conceptually liked the fence. I appreciated their efforts for pedestrian safety. I think the best thing would be to leave an opening wherever the doctor wants the opening, but to still have a guide there so that people don't just, for his patient's safety, that they don't just walk across willy-nilly and use the crosswalks. And I totally agree with the observation that there's not going to be 10 cars most of the time. And even if there is 10 cars, I used to own a store and took deliveries, and people who make deliveries are used to slight inconveniences on occasion. They will tolerate it. So I think it is workable.
Can you ask Eric to put the aerial back up?
Yeah, I can. Here.
Thank you.
Let's try to get back there.
And then put the site plan back up after that.
That one.
Yeah, this is a pretty good depiction of your existing conditions out there.
Remember that aerial is rotated 90 degrees
Close, it's
from
not
my
this
site
way.
plan.
This
Right.
is middle belt, so that would be north.
North is that way now.
So, question,
North is this way now.
Danielle?
North is that way.
so I can ask? or
Yeah.
not? Oh, okay. So this is a current picture of what it looks like today, right? So that means today, no one parks in the back.
So north is up now.
North is up? No,
Orientation.
this
Yeah,
is
that-
Middle Bay.
Now it's up.
Right, now it's
Now
up.
it's
I said,
up.
now it's up.
Yeah.
So to the left is the parking, like Susie Q comes in and she goes in the front door, and in the back, there isn't any parking unless you go on the other side of this,
The landscape
the
island.
landscape aisles. Those were the
That's
landscape
correct.
aisles I was asking about before. So this thoroughfare is currently no safety measures. Susie Q can leave Planet Fitness or the Cigar Bar or Jungle Java and drive right through here at 30 miles an hour on their way to wherever they're going. So, I mean, I'm not telling you whether or not you need to have the fence or not. I'm not trying to tell you that. I'm just saying what you have today doesn't provide you any pedestrian safety whatsoever. But I also recognize that there is probably not a lot of traffic coming in and out of this entrance, or maybe there's not, I don't know. You've got a lot of new stores over here, so maybe there are. Yeah, it's difficult for me to tell, but I do. So can you point out, or kind of give us an idea of the crosswalk in the loading area? Like, when I look at that, I don't see an actual called out loading area now. Are we installing a loading area?
Yeah,
when
be
we put the-
striped out, correct. From the edge of the
Exactly.
sidewalk to the right, it'll be 10 feet of loading, unloading. Then there'll be a 10-foot drive-up lane where the 10 stacking is, then another, I think, 10-foot bypass lane.
So you're gonna lose some of these parking spots, okay?
That's what I'm saying, is that's gonna move out about, I don't know, I think it's 20 feet or so to gain, no, actually 10 or so, to gain the proper dimension.
I see, okay.
I believe there was a reduction of 15 spaces total in the plans.
Okay, but that just simply pushes like the Jungle Java and Planet Fitness people further towards that open parking that nobody uses right now. Yep,
They're further down.
yep, further down. No, they are further down.
Yeah.
But when you're parking, because I'm Planet Fitness user, when you're parking and you can't get quite right there,
Yeah.
you come towards that building.
come
You come, yeah, towards there.
Well, right, what they did put in, I don't know if you know now, there is a, event hall there.
Yeah,
now,
that's
Banks.
right around the corner. Mhm,
Well, it's right here.
11T, 11T.
That's it right here.
That's at night and people are.
Yeah, nice.
And I'd like to point out an area, you can see the screen wall going around all four sides of the building and the rooftop units. Those are not visible at all.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you sure can.
Doesn't mean you don't need to put it on your plans, though.
Pardon?
You still have to put it on the plans, that's all.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, anywhere, yeah.
Justina had another comment. Good.
Are we good?
Did you?
Doctor,
Thank you.
could you come to the mic, please?
I'll keep changing slides here.
I'm sorry. My comment is if you notice north of the building, which is the up now, there are no cars there. That is the way it is all the time. So if the loop was there, you're not causing any change for anyone at all in the entire shopping center. That's what I'm saying. As soon as you move that area to the east, when you're creating a 20-foot, you're moving those islands, you're losing 10, 15, 20 spaces on there. What's the difference between losing 25 spaces on the other side? There's no difference, except no one parks in that spot to the north. Everybody parks in the spot to the east. That's my point. None of these things are important if the loop is there. We don't need to worry about the width. We don't need to change anything there at all. Parking is fine because all these other businesses, and I've talked to the people that own these businesses here, they don't want this to happen either because it's going to infringe on their parking. So I'm just saying, if the loop is there to the north, nobody is going to say a thing and everybody's going to be happy. That's my only thought. Thank you.
If I may respond to that. Again, I looked at all the ways to design this. Unless someone gives me a variance of not complying with the 10 stacking, I can't make it work without losing many more parking spots. No offense, but I'm an architect. I've been doing this for 45 years. I can't make it work by just being on the north side.
Kind of hooked on our own requirements here on this one.
I was thinking
Okay.
this way.
No,
Here.
no, but you have to be able to
Okay, what do we want to do?
know that you drive on
We got a plan in front of us?
You have to come this way.
Yeah, I think in some ways, Kristen made the point, this is kind of like the worst-case scenario we're talking about, but it's good to talk about it. If there's a better way to do it, certainly that's something we should look at.
This way.
But we also expect them to follow our ordinance requirements, and they come in and they're told this is what they've got to do. And so this is what they presented. If there's a accommodation on that fence, could you put the aerial back, Eric? There's an accommodation, blow it up. If there's accommodation on that, compromise on that fence for loading, unloading, then by all means, I'm sure folks can work that out. But this is what we have before us tonight.
Can I make a comment? Yeah.
Taji.
As the doctor's saying, if they came from the north end, so then the car would be on the opposite side, or the drive-through wouldn't be on the right side of the drive-through window, right? Because if you come this way, then you're going this way, so your driver's side is on the left.
This way. But it's not coming from the north, it's coming from the east.
I think what the doctor's saying is that when they make the turn and are at the window, they could stack straight all the way back. But
Okay.
again, I did the layout, I was 20 feet inside the building in order to get 20
Right.
stacking per the ordinance.
Right.
Unless I get a variance that I can only have 6 maybe, then I could do that, but we are still losing parking spots because we will be blocking off the access that's there now.
Okay.
And knowing the engineering department, oh, go ahead, Steve.
I'm ready to make a motion.
So knowing the engineering department, they're not going to say, well, we got a better idea, stack it to the north side. But you're going to say, we still have the 10-car stacking requirement, right? I mean, I'm just saying, if we process, say, okay, plan approved, subject to engineering, approving some sort of alternate stacking that meets ordinance requirements, it's safe, blah, blah, blah. Are we okay with that?
I think if they said stacking from the north side, it would have to come back to you to look at that again. That's a
Okay.
significant enough change to the site plan. It affects all sorts of parking.
And
They
so-
wouldn't get engineering approval. They'd have to come back to you.
And I believe Mr. Tissio that he says he doesn't have 10 spaces, he's in another building, he's in another building. So then that requires them to go to the expense and time or whatever, go to the ZBA, and they're going to say, well, isn't there any other way you can do it to meet ordinance requirements? And he says, yeah, I did it right here, and I took it to them, and they turned me down. Yes.
You ready for the motion?
Yeah, I think I've had, yeah. I'm done.
Okay.
Are you done?
I move that final lot split two, I don't want to. I move that
Site
site plan 6812-2023 submitted by Benedito Tisco be approved because it appears to meet all the applicable requirements of the zoning chapter, subject to the following conditions: that the deficiencies on the site plan identified by Giffords Webster be handled administratively, and that the landlord and Dr. Jacino work together on whether or not there will be a fence. That the fence is optional depending on what the landlord wants to work out with Dr. Jacino. Support.
Moved by Steve, supported by John. Any comments on the motion?
I have a comment.
Daniel, on the motion?
I think we need to take the fence comment out because that's not our jurisdiction at all. We don't have anything to do with that. That's between these two people and the landlord.
Well, that's a good observation, but they've got it on their plan, so we're kind of now, and we've talked about it. So I think we're giving some direction on
Because
it.
since it's on the plan, if,
Yeah.
it would have to be built unless,
But Danielle, you're right, it's no requirement of ours, but they kind of put it on there, and now it's part of a
And
plan.
that's what the motion said, if they come to the conclusion it's not needed.
Yeah,
The plan can go forward without it.
or if they put it in place and say, leave a gap in it so I can get my deliveries because they come through this door, then practical solution, as opposed to eliminate the total fence. Say, so be
Well,
surgical.
My motion is to let the landlord work with the tenant and to work out what works best for the fence.
Your motion is, it's optional.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe.
That's all you got, that's all you need.
Good.
There's no instructions to figure it out, it's optional.
Staff, an additional comment germane to this?
I was just going to add that if you guys wanted to address the off-hours loading as a condition for, okay.
No, we're good. That motion's what it is. And we've got representations when that, what's going to happen, so we're not going to anticipate a problem. Okay.
Call the question.
Okay, any more comments? No. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it. Plan's approved. Thanks for coming in, folks.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Okay. Been working all out. Turn out okay. Okay.
Mr. Simpson, was that motion then to work it out with the landlord, or that it was just optional? What was your
It's
motion?
optional.
Okay, so I'm going to leave out the instruction.
Okay.
Okay, the next item is approval of December 14, 2023 regular meeting minutes.
Telling me to bring this over here.
Have a motion approved.
Motion to approve?
Margie?
Second.
John? Tanji's got the motion. John supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you, Cheryl, for the minutes. Public comments? Any further public comments? Come on up. How you doing? Thanks for coming in.
But unenforceable, exactly. Nobody works here past 4:30 anyway.
Fair enough.
Your name, please,
I get it.
My name's Kelly Goldberg.
Please don't do any ordinance.
and your address.
So I live on High Valley in Rolling Oaks. So I'm coming to you because what strikes me about this plan and some of the other drive-through plans that you've entertained is there seems to be sort of an unrealistic view of what happens when you put pedestrians near cars. And when we first moved to this district, the selling point of redoing the athletic fields was separating pedestrians and cars and not having kids and parents walking and having very distinct areas. But that doesn't seem to be a concern in the, whole Marvin's Mechanical Museum Myers discussion. But what bothers me about this is I spent 9 years taking kids to Dr. Giacino's office. I lived in this community when the Weinstein family was killed. They've seen the worst case scenario. And given the distraction, the terrible distraction of drivers nowadays, this is not 1999. This is 2024. And you are one kid glancing down while they're in the drive-through line and someone stumbling off a corner. And to say nothing of the horrendous, I'm still waiting to hear about a traffic study that was done between 1:45 and 3:30 on 12 Mile Road. I haven't heard studies that occurred. I think one study I heard about for a different development was in July. We need to know as you're making these decisions that you're looking at real time, that you're looking at lousy weather, poor visibility, high volume of cars, a funeral procession, and I'm not saying this is a 24/7 thing, but all it takes is one. So I would just ask you to really look at this. The other thing is the patients of Dr. Giacino and Dr. Giacino and his staff are losing a great deal of use and enjoyment of that space. They can't in nice weather stick out, nobody steps out the back door for a cigarette anymore. But it's if you just look at the visualization, it looks like his whole office is sort of being overtaken by this, very large entity. And if it were just a coffee shop, that might be one thing, but I think to have a drive-through there, especially, and I'm gonna say this, Dr. Giacino is probably one of the most philanthropic, civic-minded people in this community with his wife. He has people in his practice who've been there 20 years on staff. They have sponsored fun runs, they have bought T-shirts. Their name is on every single program in the performing arts in this community. They support so many ventures in Farmington Public Schools. And I think after all those years of generosity, this is a very poor way to repay that civic-mindedness. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comment. And certainly, I've got to say that first and foremost in our minds as citizen planners, volunteers, is when we see plans, all plans throughout the city, is to make sure that people can coexist when these plans come before us. And we have to anticipate a lot of things. And we also have to work within the rules that we're given. And so we attempt to do this. And in no way is this a punishment of anybody. We're reacting to property owners and proposals and things like that, and we're trying to do the best job we can. So I do appreciate your comment, and we're lucky to have the doctor and his wife in our community, and we appreciate him and whatever endeavors they're involved with. But we're doing the best we can as well. And certainly anytime we do a plan, we don't want anything bad happen to anybody. And if people can modify and adjust as a result, and that's just not us, but the doctor and his practice and how he routes his patients in and out, it may be a price to pay. We're looking to, when development comes, we want to have a vibrant community, and people come in, we want to have investment in our community. We're not trying to penalize anybody else. We're just trying to keep us vital and try to work it out so we can all kind of coexist. So I appreciate your comments, and thank you for coming tonight. Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll go on to the next item. Commissioners, so election of officers first, right? So I'm up, and I think it's starting March. So we do a progression. So John is vice chair. I would propose, and somebody, I guess, I'd make a motion. Maybe we do it as a slate. John would become chair. I'm out. Marisa would become vice chair. And we need a secretary to kind of get into the loop, the queue, if you will. And does anybody would like to volunteer for that? Or do they have other thoughts in terms of the hierarchy of the Planning Commission?
See if there's a nomination.
I'd like to nominate someone.
Okay, go ahead.
Kristen Aspinall.
Okay.
When you're the secretary, your name is on every agenda and every publication that goes
does
out.
that sign me up to become
Keep it in
vice
mind.
chair and then chair?
Well, if you're reappointed, you'll have
Okay, that's my
if
own.
you're reappointed, you got to be reappointed, and it's like 4 years, right? 2 years, kind of generally the practice. But, you'll have 5, 6 years under your belt, you won't have a problem.
Oh, I think Barry wants to do it too.
No, he doesn't.
No, we got a second denomination,
Oh.
how's that?
Yay.
So I'm seeing Kristen kind of nodding her head. So is there a motion? Can we do it as one motion, Tom?
Yeah, we can.
You can do it as three or as one.
Mr. Chair, Mr.
Mr.
Chair,
Brickner, please.
I would like to nominate John Trufflet as the new chair and Marissa Varga as the new vice chair. We've already nominated someone for the secretary position, but we didn't nominate them yet, so I'd like to nominate them.
And, well, we can nominate them all.
Well, I already nominated.
Well, okay, well, Cheryl, they're all nominated by Barry. Kristen, you're good?
Sure.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to make another motion. I move that all nominations be ended and that we vote unanimously for the parties that have been nominated for the positions.
Okay, very good. Any discussion on the motion?
Is there a second for that?
Is there a second for that? See, Mr. Chair, the Vice Chair is already getting into the spirit of it.
Oh, yeah, I second that.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Okay. Moved by Barry, supported by Joe. All in favor?
You have a question?
I have a question.
Danielle.
How long are the positions?
Well, we usually do this once a year.
But it's a 2-year rotation, right?
Oh, I'll answer. So they used to do 1 year, and then planning commission says, let's keep it on 1 year and see how you're doing. If you're doing pretty good, they'll re-up you probably for 2 years. After 2 years, you know, you kind of become like a dictator, so you don't want to do that, so we got to move people on. So,
You're so good at it.
yeah, thank you.
I love
So,
that you rotate.
I gotta move on.
It is
So
good,
anyhow,
not
so
a
yeah,
lot of
every year we
communication.
look at it, usually we'll up them on our term for 1 more year, and then move people through. Good question, Danielle. You're keeping me on my toes, because I'm assuming a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I assume
John
that the
will
new
have
people
to-
know all this stuff,
Okay.
not you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it.
Unanimous.
And Cheryl, that'll be effective, part of the motion, March 1, right? March 1?
Yep.
Okay.
And may God have mercy on you.
Motion to adjourn?
No,
Wait, you got
Comments.
Commissioner comments.
Oh, wait a minute.
Comments.
Well, I was trying. Okay. Commissioner comments? Joseph?
He's gonna read
Oh, the book, no.
As
trying to move us
chair of
along.
the parking committee in downtown
Learn from me.
Farmington, we have a tradition of reading from our epistle, which is The High Cost of Free Parking by Donald Shoup, which is it's a big document in planning. And last night's reading struck me so much that I thought I'd read an excerpt, if you don't mind. It's just a couple of quick paragraphs, all right? And this is titled, this little section, Huddled Masses Yearning to Park Free. And it says, drivers obviously need to park somewhere and they don't want to pay for it. A 1946 survey of 76 cities found that only 17% had parking requirements. 5 years later, 71% of these cities had parking requirements or were adopting them. And then in 1944, the Los Angeles County Planning Commission concluded that cities really should require that each building provide at least as much space for parking as there is floor area within the building, okay? And by 1991, after many years of experience with parking requirements, the American Planning Association Planning Advisory Service noted, and I quote, "It is widely accepted within the professional literature that a requirement for excessive amounts of parking yields only lower densities and larger impervious surface areas." Those are areas where water can't flow into the ground. Off-street parking can grow quickly and eat up a tremendous amount of land if it is not looked at critically. That goes on, this last paragraph. Off-street parking does eat up a tremendous amount of land, but minimum parking requirements lead planners and developers to think that parking is a problem only when there isn't enough of it. But too much parking is also a problem. It wastes money, degrades urban design, increases the impervious surface area, and encourages overuse of cars. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Father Manti.
Didn't know any of that.
Good reminder. We need to work on that, especially as it relates to those parking lots. Barry?
Figuring that we'd be out of here a lot earlier than we were, Michigan State beat Minnesota tonight in basketball by about 8 points, I think. But
who won? Michigan?
Michigan State beat Minnesota. Michigan beat Ohio State on Monday, and my daughter made me go. And they made me wear blue.
Cool.
It's a good color on you.
Yeah, but I'm a Spartan.
Donji?
Go Lions.
Oh, absolutely. Sunday, right?
Sunday at 3.
3 o'clock? Lions party. John?
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for the support.
Hey, you got it. It's been a pleasure being chair. You guys are great.
So where are you gonna sit now?
Oh,
In the audience. That's the best place to be.
oh, Dale, I should say this. Thank you so much for your dedication and being our leader for the last 2 years. It'll be very nice when you can come on this side of the microphone
and make more comments that I know you wanted to make all along.
I tried to be under control.
You were very
Marisa.
nice.
I'm good.
Marissa's good. Danielle?
I'm good.
Good questions tonight. Kristen?
I have a lot to say.
Huh?
I have a lot to say tonight. I don't know if you guys know, but Michigan won the football national championship.
They did?
Heard about that?
Yeah, yeah.
Some
I had no
t-shirts
idea.
at Costco?
I was there, and it was
Oh, yeah.
one of the best nights of my life. Okay, number two.
Best
Dale,
what?
One of the best.
one of the best nights of my life.
Okay, one of the best. Okay.
One of the best, yeah. Top 5 weekend for sure. Dale, I appreciate your level-headedness, and when you like address like the public, it's so calm and reassuring. And I want to like shout out to them. We live here too. Like, we're patrons of these places. We have kids that go to orthodontists. We do all the things that you do, and we take that into account when we're making these decisions. But it's like we have to just hold back. So I appreciate you putting all those wise words out there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I take that back. I am a regular patron of Dr. Justino, or well, my kids are, so I'm there all the time.
Yeah,
It'll be okay.
that's good, because you worry about that. I mean,
Yeah.
you do worry about that, something ever
Yeah.
happens, and things happen.
We had an 86-year-old woman killed in Macomb County yesterday, walking back to her car after getting her hair done. Snowplow guy ran her over.
Oh, my goodness. Fire department, right?
Yeah, but I'm not letting my kid walk out of the orthodontist without me.
That's what I wondered
My
too.
kid's not crossing a parking
Yeah.
lot without me.
Right.
Yeah, but if you're teenage.
Why do they go in the?
No, not even that. I'm paying the bill.
Okay, Steve.
Okay, so with none of us getting our packets,
Yeah, what's the rule?
earlier on, we were
Yeah.
discussing that, oh, we should just do it electronically. As we're sitting here, I really rethought that, because one of the things was, we need to stay off our phones. I think everyone here was looking at the plans on their phone.
Looking at the plans on my phone.
Yep, so I think, maybe we don't have to have them mailed, but I think if we want to avoid looking like we're being distracted by looking at our phones or iPads,
Right.
we need them in front of us when we're here at the meeting.
That's a good point.
Eric is
Is Eric there?
No.
He left.
No,
Looking for his plans.
I'll relay it to him.
yeah,
Convey.
I think we need to stay with hard copies of the plans.
Another thing I thought about tonight, it would be nice to see if superimpose like a plan on an aerial sometimes.
Kind of like a transparency of the plan with the aerial coming in behind.
Yeah, that'd really be slick and give perspective. We got the North Hill this
I'm
way. we got
always
North Hill
trying to
this, got
figure
things
out
going on.
where
It'd
what
really help
street
us
is.
just to overlay that, just a simple plan saying, okay, now I got my bearings.
Can I have a point here? I know you passed over.
Go ahead.
John, and you didn't say anything, did you?
No, I didn't. But I thought of something inspired by Mr. Simpson. We spend a lot of money on postage. I mean, it's like $90, $100 a month just to mail out our packets.
How much?
It could
Between
pay
90
for
and
our
100.
raises.
You look at your postage when it comes, it's incredibly expensive. It's
So you
sometimes $10
So
a
you
month.
figured out why we didn't get raised.
That's a lot of money, I think, anyway.
There it is.
I don't mind getting them electronically, but I think when we're sitting here, just like we get these packets here sitting here.
Yeah.
At a minimum, we should have the paper packets when
I
we're
agree,
doing the meeting.
absolutely.
But
As a new chair, I will work toward that.
Well, I'm old school, and I'll be commenting on it. I still like paper,
Well,
and I
you
see
can't read
plans
it
in
on your
front of me.
phone correctly. You can't see everything.
It was, this alone was 40-some pages.
We could come pick them up.
Yeah, but it's up to staff really kind of get the appropriate pages to give to us.
The other thing was, Mr. Mandy brought up a thing tonight.
Ever drive by.
Going up on Sunday.
Okay,
If any, yeah, I know.
I'm good.
entertain motion to adjourn.
Wait. I just want to endorse Mr. Mante's comments about 60 Minutes. Go back and look at that show. Everybody's watching football. It's incredible to see what is going on in New York City. I have several articles which I hope to pass on, assuming Mr. Schultz says it's okay, from talking about what's going on and the banking and what's coming, with the loans coming due. And I'm certainly it's going to happen here because we're not hearing that from our EDC. I would hope at some point in the future, we're going to hear some input from what there's going on up there with those folks. I tried looking for their minutes tonight. I couldn't find them. But maybe they're there, maybe staff knows, maybe you know. I don't know. I went and looked and all I saw was meeting cancellations on the website, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Steve?
Except you.
Chris? Tanji second.
Give them to us.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.